Good morning, brilliant scholars. Happy Thursday and happy Corona Day number 81. Hard to believe it has been that long. Also, special congratulations to all my seniors that are walking throughout this week. It was great. I got to give a speech on Tuesday night with several other graduates, which was fantastic. I know it's not the best of graduation ceremonies, but I think it was as good as we could have done in this particular situation. As usual, guys, it is so weird. 81 days ago, I was talking about how current events were so difficult because the only thing we had to talk about was COVID-19. And there was really only so much that we could talk about. There really wasn't any other news. Now, on the positive front, we seem to have our infection rates going down. I was looking up new data this morning. I see that in Wisconsin, you have a 3% chance of dying of COVID from the people who test positive of COVID. So that's not 3% in our population. That's 3% of the people who actually test positive. So this is that's a promising stat. Now, obviously, we don't want to have 3% of anybody passing away, but that's a relatively small number compared to the whole. Now, obviously, what is still going on and what is definitely taking up all the news stations and everything are the protests as well as riots that are going on all over the United States. We are talking about, as we've said before, pretty much every major city and even smaller cities are having various issues going on. And important to note that they are very vastly different, the incidents that are happening. In some cases, we have police and community members that are marching together. We have peaceful, wonderful, showing of the First Amendment rights. And in other places, we have horrific attacks. In New York, we had two officers that were shot, one officer that was stabbed in the neck. The people in our protests come from all different walks of life. Some of them are people who live in these cities. Some of them are people who come from other places, black, white, yellow, whatever. All kinds of different people. So keep that in mind as you're looking at that. If you do look into what's going on, and I would encourage you to. This is a part of history, and it's an important part of what's going on in the United States. But there are so many different facets of what's happening. So soak up as much as you can. So you have an idea of what's really going on out there. And again, I really wish we were in the classroom. I would love to have conversations with you guys about this. I feel that's the best way to really learn and get an idea for what's going on is to actually talk about it together. Still relating to that, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, in case you lived in a cave, retweeted a photo that he got absolutely crushed for 5 years ago, or at least ridiculed by some people. That was during Colin Kaepernick's whole campaign where he would take a knee. Well, he, as well as several other Green Bay Packers, joined arms during the national anthem, and some Americans felt that that was very disrespectful for him to do. And he brought that back up to say that basically that is this current reason is the reason they were doing it, and that it had nothing to do with protesting our flag or our anthem, but more to bring awareness and bring unity to his particular team and maybe to our country. Last but not least, what I've got in the middle is, will the NBA come back? I think we could use some Greek freak right about now. I know I could, that's for darn sure. But the NBA is talking about it. They're talking about actually like buying out an entire resort area in Disney and bringing our players into one place. I don't know how they will end up getting that done if they do get it done, but man, would I love to be able to turn on the Bucks, which is unique for me. I have not watched a full Bucks game for over 20 years until this year's team. But they are fantastic, and I'd love to see them have a shot at a potential title. All right, what's going on for today, guys? Well, my historians, you guys have your last test tomorrow. Please, please, please be working on that test review. And remember, those test reviews, or this particular test review, requires you to dig a little bit deeper. You're not just identifying a definition for those key terms. You're trying to learn what those key terms are all about. I will do a Zoom today at 2:30. That time is picked because that is when you guys are officially done with school. So if you want to, and I would highly encourage you to, if you want to review a little bit, I will be online then. That link will be in your agenda for you. Global relations, we got the same thing we've had. I've had some people email me and ask about the final. We've talked about it. It's already been in your agenda. There isn't a final for global relations. It is that final paper. That's the last thing that you are doing. So get that done, get that handed in, and then we don't have to worry going forward. I will be putting zeros in the grade book for those who don't have that paper in, so you guys have an idea of what that's going to do to your grade. Again, that's just to give you that idea. You can get it to me, but I do need you guys to be aware. Sometimes kids, especially this time of year and especially the situation that's going on right now, have a tendency to check out before they should have. And of course, we don't want that to happen. Let's keep it as positive as possible. Positive as possible. Check out the background today that comes to you guys from Yellowstone National Park. That was, I think I was there last year when I took this image. If you do, and I've actually talked to some people who are going to Yellowstone this year, I would highly, highly recommend that you get out early. Yellowstone National Park is one of my least favorite national parks and favorite national parks for one particular reason. It is so incredibly packed that if you were to drive around that park at like noon, if you're like me and you don't want to be stuck in traffic jams and around thousands of people, you'll hate it. But if you get up right as the sun is about to rise, you will see the most amount of animals and the most amazing views and barely any people. I highly, highly, highly recommend you give that a shot if you get out there. All right, thanks for tuning in, folks. Tomorrow's Friday. Talk to you in the morning.